struggle through my trials of life, I need to stop and pray that you'll always be so near to me as I pass from day to day. And I know that you'll be with me, Lord, and somehow guide my way. I believe, I believe. Lord, you gave the universe in tiny grains of sand. You taught us to believe in things we may not understand. To forgive our sins, you gave to us your one and only Son. So someday we'll be with you and live as one.
Today's Gospel is from the book of John, chapter 14, verses 15 through 21. Jesus said to the disciples, "If you love me, you will keep my commandments. And I will ask the Father, and he will give you another advocate, to be with you forever. This is the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it neither sees him nor knows him. You know him because he abides with you, and he will be in you. I will not leave you orphaned. I am coming to you. In a little while, the world will no longer see me, but you will see me, because I live, and you also will live. On that day, you will know that I am in my Father, and you in me, and I in you. They who have my commandments and keep them are those who love me, and those who love me will be loved by my Father, and I will love them and reveal myself to them. Praise to you, O Christ."
Welcome. It's good to be together again in this way. Although limited, it still enables us to come into God's presence together and get our souls fed for the week ahead. Our gospel this morning is an interesting one. It's in the 14th chapter of John's Gospel, and here's a part of what it says. "If you love me, you will be enabled to keep my commandments and to love one another. And I'll ask the Father to give you another helper, the Spirit of truth, whom you already know because he lives in you and will continue to live in you. In a little while the world will not see me anymore, but you will see me. And you will know that I am in my Father, and that my Father is in me, and that I am in you, and that you are in me." This is the good news from Jesus. And this is the good news I would like to reflect with you on, in that it is such a mystery. And it is an unactualized mystery in many cases for most of us, as we live in a slow process of coming to an ever deeper knowing of God and following his ways, because we've absorbed so much of who he is and the goodness and pleasure of it. And what I want to use to reflect on this mystery of how we can bring the mystery of our being joined and intermingled with God more fully to life is from a book I ran across recently that I've just been very more and more excited about, written by James Bryan Smith. And the title of the book is The Magnificent Story, Uncovering a Gospel of Beauty, Goodness, and Truth. It's those three facets of God's presence and glory, beauty, goodness, and truth, that I want to talk with you about this morning. It may be for you as it was for me that my initial reaction to the subtitle especially, that the beauty and the goodness and the truth of God were at the center of his revelation of himself to us. It came to my mind that probably love, joy, and peace were more the essence of God's being. But the more I read of what he wrote, the more I became convinced that he was on track with what I think is even more helpful to us in our struggle to come to genuinely and deeply feel we know God and have had experiences directly of him. He says, look for what's beautiful, look for what's good, and look is for what is really the truth. And you'll find places where God is making himself known to you. What I really found helpful were some of the biblical reflections or biblical support he had for identifying goodness, beauty, and truth as the ways through which God most fully reveals himself. But there was creation that he started with. And what did God say? 7 times after everything he created, this is what? This is good. This is good. This is good. This is good. And Webster says what's good is something that creates the pleasure of benefits, that we're enriched. Life is better because of what is good. When things are good, they are helpful and they are pleasant to us. But at the 7th day, he also said, well, this is not good that man's alone. And so he corrected that incompletion of creation and made a woman so that we all have a helpmate to make ourselves fuller and more, finding capacity for deeper joys and deeper pleasures. Then there's the passage that says, overcome evil with good. And then there is the story of the prodigal son, where when he comes home a failure, he's treated like royalty and giving everything that is good and beautiful that the Father has, because it's in absorbing the good and the beautiful that we come to know and be drawn to the Father's love, which is in the beauty and the goodness. That's the essence of where we will need to look to find God. But better than talking about it is telling a story that brings it to life. And I have a story from the book that I found bringing it to life for me, and it was the story of the celloist of Sarajevo. The celloist's name was Vedra Shmelovic, and the occasion was a 3.5-year war in Bosnia between 3 different religious sects who hated each other to death, and who in the process of the 3.5-year war killed 100,000 people. 2.2 million people were displaced from their homes, which were all leveled, and over 12,000 women were raped. And in the middle of all of the despondency and resurgence of hate and temptations to respond in kind, there was one man who began to turn the country around from the bottom up. He was a man who all he had to offer was his music. He was a celloist who began in the middle of the war to start playing in the middle of the worst ruins he could find. 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day he would show up where no one knew where he was going to show up, but showed up and simply played beautiful, beautiful music on his cello, dressed to the hilt as any good musician would be at any of his best concerts. And he played daily and brought hope back to people. He came to be known worldwide, and people of worldwide renown came and sat with him in silence as he played, and every time the people heard the music, more and more gathered, because they revived his hopes and helped to end the war, some say then more than any other force or person that was in their community. That is the embodiment of and the bringing to life of beauty in the midst of an experience where goodness and truth are hard to be found, which is so similar to what we're in the midst of in our day. So my challenge and my invitation to you is to spend this coming week looking fiercely for every reflection of beauty that surrounds you and beauty that is within you. And know yourself to be among those like the musician, the celloist from Sarajevo, that you and I need to bring the music of our goodness and what we can make that is beautiful simply into the mix of life for ourselves and one another. And God will be with us, and we will know He is in us and we are in Him. God bless you as you live in the beauty and goodness of the truth. Amen.
When I feel afraid and all alone and don't know what to do, and I really start to doubt myself in all I say and do,
I believe you're all the strength